Hello and good evening. Welcome to the fourth session of Provence webinars. To eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. So today it's our pleasure to meet the nutrition expert Swati Chandrasekhar ma'am, a well-known and respected nutritionist with over 20 years of experience. She has worked on projects for United Nations as well as with biggest names in the corporate world. While Swati ma'am has been actively working with Abhinav Bindra's training centers, she continues to work in the social sector through Lakshya Foundation, which is known to support talented sportsmen for India's Olympic dream. Few of her mentees are already making records in various sports fields. So we at Provence are very pleased to arrange this lecture on nutrition and hydration. Let us understand its importance. Over to you, Swati ma'am.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm new to this whole setup of this kind of screening. I cannot see the number of participants. How many participants do we have here? I want to wish a very good evening to each one of them.
Yes, Swati ma'am. We have, as of now, we have 28 participants.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a good number. So this can be a more interactive session also. So thanks a lot, Bharti ma'am, for a wonderful introduction. I'll get started with my presentation. So all this time, we have been continuously, the moment you get into competitive sports, the next thing to your coaching is what you eat, right? Nutrition comes the next most important thing after your coaching. And like the saying goes, like you are what you eat. So if you're a champion, you eat like a champion. So that's exactly what our point is. So a champion, when he starts thinking about his nutrition, he does not stop at what he just eats. The most important and somewhat the most ignored part of nutrition is hydration, because we all take water for granted. I mean, the whole world takes water for granted because it's free most of the time, and that's what it is a game changer. So let's see why exactly hydration is important for us. So let's see, there are simple words that you keep hearing all the time, but very important when it comes to a life of an athlete. So hydration is crucial for your athletic performance, for pain prevention, for efficient absorption of nutrients. Most of the nutrients, if they are taken in good amounts, but not if you're not well hydrated, will not be absorbed properly. Joint lubrication, temperature regulation, all of these are so important for an athlete. Prevention of headaches, very common when you are doing these tournaments which are in areas where the temperature is really very high, the kind of temperature you would not be expecting. Then to retain your muscle strength, to prevent infections and increase your endurance. So next part of hydration is, you have to understand what exactly is dehydration, because the people don't understand the difference between hydration and dehydration. There are symptoms which we never match it with dehydration. The most common mistake that is done, that whenever you are thirsty, you end up eating something, and when you eat something which, if it has a little bit of salt, that dehydration doubles. So it's very important to understand thirst different from your hunger. So the progression of dehydration happens in this manner. So if there is 1% dehydration in your body, let's say for example, we have a person who weighs about 150 pounds, which is close to about 70 kgs. So if the amount of weight that he is lost is 1.5 pounds, that is about 750 grams, there is increase in body temperature. If the percentage of dehydration is 3%, there would be impaired performance. With 5%, which is like very serious, you will see cramps, chills, nausea, and then on. Now you need not go to the last two stages, because definitely we'll correct it when it is 1%, right? Now after this session, definitely you will. So another way of checking your hydration status is to remember this urine chart. And you're drinking lots and lots of water. That's what we encourage all our athletes to. They say, when you go to pee, when you're about to flush, you have to take a closer look at what exactly is lying there before you flush. So it has to be as clear as water, very transparent. Next to that would be a pale straw color, barely there kind, and the transparent yellow. That's all. The moment it starts becoming darker, then there is something to worry about. And you should always, every time, every single time you visit the washroom, you have to ensure that you check your the color of your urine. This urine chart should be kept in your mind. Another trick that you could do with your hydration is to set a cycle. So every time you visit the washroom, you come out and have a glass of water. Now this way it sets a cycle that you drink more water, then again you visit the washroom. Then if you're visiting the washroom more often, obviously you're going to drink the water also more often. So setting that water cycle is also very easy. It's a very easy technique and can fit into your routine very easily. So let's see how exactly the fluid balance occurs in the body. So this is for an average person. I'm not talking about an athlete, because your level of your sport, your practice, your intensity, and the number of hours that you're putting will actually determine your individual water intake. But this is for an average person with a normal physical activity, about 45 minutes, and basic physical activity. But try to understand the science behind it, how exactly generally water input and output happens. So if we are taking if you're taking the water input, there are three ways that water is actually available to the body. So about 1.2 ml, 1.2 liters for through the fluids that we take. The food actually gives you about this thing 1 liter, and the effect of metabolism gives you about 350 ml of water. So that gets you to 2550. And the output is happens in this manner, that your urine output kind of matches the fluids that you take. The skin, the loss through the skin, that is through your sweating and overall temperature regulation, all these bodily processes, the skin will give out about 850 ml. The lungs through their breathing will give you, because of the breathing process, will give out about 350 ml. And the fecal matter will release about 100 ml approximately. So that's how the fluid balance takes place in the body. So how do the fluids get lost? Now here is where we are talking about athletes. So it completely depends on the duration, intensity of your physical activity. So if you have higher duration and higher intensity of your physical activity, greater is your need for your to create a hydration plan. Then you nearly need to put a lot of thought as to how much water is going to go and in what form. Okay, you have to also consider your sweating. Now sweating also varies from person to person, and also depends on the geographical location. So it will be like a person in Pune or probably Hyderabad will definitely sweat less than a person who's on the coastal area, like in Bombay or in Goa. They will have a higher sweat loss. Again, the temperature, I mean the season also, and the environmental temperature also, where you are training, whether it's hot weather or it's cold weather, that also will actually determine your water loss, whether it is in the sweat or in the urine. And the altitude. So altitude, what we notice is the higher the altitude, the dehydration effect is also higher. So don't go, don't be in the impression that if you're at a higher altitude with whether you are staying in a hilly region, or if you have tournaments over there, whether these are the road tournaments or the rings tournaments, make sure that your hydration is extremely well maintained over there, or slightly higher. You can probably look at drinking in the schedule that we are giving out. Like that schedule is something that you need to keep in mind, especially for your tournaments. Most of the times we drink very well, the hydration is managed very well while you are practicing. But because of the pressure of the tournament, and you have so many things moving in your mind, that is the time when hydration takes a backstage, and that becomes a game changer when it comes to the output of your tournament. So how now first we start with how do we decide your daily intake for the athletes. So the first thing is we remember these points. What kind of activity are you doing? What is the intensity of your activity? The environmental conditions. So again, coming back to the environmental conditions, it is again pertaining to the weather of the that place also. Then the body size of the athlete, the training status that the coach will decide. Hmm? So how much should one drink? So the recommended amount, which is very easy to remember, is just calculate in the simple formula of multiply 60 ml with your existing body weight. So let's say, for example, I have a skater who weighs 30 kgs. How much the water intake is going to be? Close to about 1800 to 2 liters. Okay, that has to be well distributed. Now, the best way to do, for hydration, the rules are that before the activity starts, so whether it's your tournament or your practice, make sure that you drink about 500 ml water 2 hours before the physical activity becomes. That is the basic 500 ml. Another 200 to 300 ml right before you start exercising or you start your training. Now, during the activity, we do not give you like a measurement, right? But it is always better that you take 4 to 6 big gulps, mouthfuls of water. Fill your a mouth like a balloon. That much water, 4 to 6 gulps every 15 to 20 minutes. This ensures that you are hydrated throughout. You don't get any kind of fatigue. So there is no point in getting dehydrated and then hydrated. It's better that you are hydrated throughout. Don't let that hydration status dip, because it takes some time to then come back to normal. And after the activity, this is where again it's very important, because most of you are having some protein smoothies or some protein drinks apart from the water that goes in a protein drink. So ideally the consumption should be for every 30 grams of protein powder that you take, you will be mixing it with about 330 ml water, maybe 400 350 or 400 ml water. But make sure that you cover up the rest for about, you need to drink another half a liter in some time, so that the amount of water that you have the amount of water that you are taking now will balance the dehydration that has happened in the 1-2 hours of physical activity that has happened. Also, if you cannot drink, there is another way that you eat your water. You try to have fruits and vegetables which are high in water content. So everything, all watery fruits, so maybe it is melons, it is citrus fruits, or if you're taking vegetables also, you take lots of leafy vegetables, salads, tomatoes, cucumbers. All of them will help you replace your water, at the same time give you give you that relief that you don't have to drink too much water. On the days when you're going to take absolute rest, so let's say that will be one day of the week. So that time, what do you do? Now you are definitely not going to train so much, so you look at it as you are following the rule of 8. The rule of 8 is that you drink 8 glasses throughout the day, which are about 250 ml, 250 ml. So because the glasses in India, glasses vary in each house. So if you are, there could be a 150 ml glass, or it would be a 200 ml glass. So remember, the glass should be about 250 ml, or even simpler, the rule of 8 can be read as the rule of 2. So at least 2 liters throughout the day should happen on an absolute rest day. Now, how to keep checking hydration? So to avoid dehydration, you have to check your sweat loss. If you have not checked your sweat loss, I'm going to teach you how to calculate your sweat loss. But remember this, like it should not be more than 2%. Okay, so like the example that I've given over here. So if you are a athlete who weighs 50 kgs, for example, you should not be losing more than 1 kg during your session, during any workout or any practice session, or even during your matches. So let's see how to calculate your sweat loss. So what you do is, first you check your pre-workout weight, then you deduct your post-workout weight. So you will get a difference in your weight. Now this weight difference we save. Okay, keep it aside. Now we take the weight difference and then add the amount of water that you have, a measured amount of water that you've had during that activity, and that gives you your sweat loss. Now once you have your sweat loss, what do you do? Now, okay, so once you have your sweat loss, let's say your sweat loss is about 1 kg, or probably 750 grams. So in the first 1 hour, you will not take that entire amount together. You will take about 60 to 70% of your sweat loss. and then gradually increase the amount, and you'll cover it in the next 3-4 hours. You need not replace your sweat loss immediately in the first 1 hour itself. That will put a lot of pressure on your kidneys. That's why. The other part that which aids in hydration is your electrolytes. So your electrolytes are basically nothing but there are salts and minerals which help in balancing your fluid and also your blood pressure. They ensure that your kidneys also function very well. The cellular uptake of fluids and minerals in the right proportion is only balanced when these electrolytes in the right are in the right proportion in the fluids. Now these electrolytes actually form the nature of your fluids also, the fluids also which have to be taken up by your body. So what are the most important and common electrolytes that you need to be considering? So first is sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Sodium is very easily found in leafy vegetables, table salt. You don't really have to make a lot of effort for taking sodium because it is very freely available in all the cooked food items that we take. What you need to worry about is potassium, and potassium deficiency is very common, and that's what it brings about an effect of the hit or miss actually active about the activity can happen because of potassium. So I would say that you should be making sure that there is a regular intake. There is no point in taking lots of bananas on the days of the competition. No, you have to take this, throughout. Only then the potassium levels are well maintained. Easy way to include them is like through coconut water, banana, potatoes, beans, lentils, dairy products. Okay, what you would see if there isn't enough potassium in your diet, there are more frequent episodes of fatigue, cramps, constipation. Sugar cravings are very high during that. Calcium should be primarily included through the diet. Only after your nutritionist agrees, then you move to calcium supplementation, which is most of the times required by all the athletes who are eating good amount of food and having good amount of training. But never start calcium supplementation without the advice of your nutritionist. Always consult her or him before you start, and the dosage also there has to be adjusted by them. Calcium deficiency will be seen when in the form of cramps, or there is poor appetite, lethargy. There could be a little bit of pain also, which is like we call it osteopenia. So that all these symptoms actually boil down to calcium deficiency. But you try and explain it to your nutritionist about this for them to understand the difference in the pain also. So every time your leg pains, it is not necessarily calcium deficiency. The next important electrolyte is your magnesium, which is, again, if you are going to have lots of leafy vegetables, if you see the common part, leafy vegetables, lentils, you will get your magnesium very easily. You will, if you're taking fish oil supplements, or if you're eating fish which is rich in oils, that also will take care of your magnesium requirement. Nuts, oil seeds are the seeds which actually give you oil. So for example, we have mustard, we have groundnut, we have sunflower, all of this, sesame, all of these seeds would give you good amount of magnesium, which will ensure that there is no muscle weakness and hyperirritability also. So when it comes to hydration, the very most important common question, I'm sure I'm going to get that in the comments also. So about what exactly can we do about sports drink? So, sports drink is a really good choice because it helps you rehydrate much quicker and more effectively than water, because the absorption rates are very good. They provide extra energy. They prolong the effect of fatigue. So you are really up and about throughout the activity. It quickly replaces sweat losses. But the only disadvantage, according to me, is that to have a sports drink on a regular basis, it turns out to be very expensive. And we need not spend when we can actually make our own sports drink. So first, let's understand what kind of sports drinks are there. So you need to understand what exactly should be the composition of your sports drink depending on the time of your activity. So if we are looking at a sports drink, we have to look at the carbohydrate concentration. So first is water. Water has 0% carbohydrate, and what do we use it for? Daily hydration. Then comes the hypotonic, where the amount of carbohydrate present behind 100 ml will be less than 4 grams, so 4% of carbohydrate. Okay, this is more effective during exercise because it helps in rapid replacement of fluids. Isotonic is where you have a now what is isotonic? Isotonic means the concentration which is very close to the concentration of our blood, where the concentration of carbohydrate is between 4 and 8% carbohydrates, and there is always a little bit of sodium and potassium added to it for speeding up the absorption. This should be ideally used before exercise. And hypertonic solution is basically anything that has more than 8 grams of sugar or a carbohydrate behind 100 ml. This will always be absorbed much slowly, so that has to be more in the recovery stage. It could be like any other juice or any liquid that can be had after the physical activity. So this is hypertonic, will help you recover your sweat loss. Okay, no, so when it comes from a training point of view, that is before and during training, we have to look at the isotonic and the hypotonic. You don't have to make a lot of effort to make a hypotonic drink. You just make your isotonic drink, but which you have it before your activity, and then add equal amount of water, and you will make it into a hypotonic drink. Very easy to make. Okay, so there are some DIY isotonic drinks. So probably you can reserve. I would say making DIY isotonic drinks during tournaments can be quite stressful. So you do reserve all your packaged isotonic drinks for the tournaments. Keep them aside so they're very handy and you don't have to really run around looking for the ingredients. But I would strongly recommend you start making your isotonic drinks when you are training. You're at in the comfort of your home, going regularly for training and back. You can just start making your own drinks. So here's one: is coconut water is the best isotonic drink that's readily available. The second one, which we use very easily, is that's 100 ml of fruit juice, 400 ml of water, and 2 pinches of salt. Now, when we say 2 pinches, remember your pinches mean one pinch is not with 3 pinches. Okay, it is always 3 fingers. It is always with 2 fingers, your thumb and your index finger. When you pick up the salt, you will dust off the excess from the side like this, and then you will just take those 2 pinches of salt. It's very important that your salt is not more in your isotonic drinks. You can also look at making an isotonic drink with 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 450 ml of water. Now this water can be infused with ginger. Just crush a little bit of ginger and put it in slightly warm water. Allow it to come to room temperature, and then you add your lemon juice and honey to it. So this ginger infused lemon water is also very good, very good for inflammations also. Then we can look at another formula which is very close to Gatorade. So this is 500 ml water, 3 tablespoons of honey, or you can put date syrup, or you can put molasses. I don't know the Marathi name for molasses. It is called kakvi, which basically it's a byproduct of jaggery preparation when they are boiling the sugarcane juice. That's also very nutritious. So these are different types of sugars that you can put. About half a cup of hot water is required so that the honey or this thickened syrup mixes very easily. Then you add 15 ml of lemon juice, about 1/3 cup of orange juice, and half a teaspoon of salt. This quantity is a little higher, so half a teaspoon of salt over here. So these are the kind of drinks that you can make. So I would want you to start incorporating each and every item that I have told you. So understanding your hydration status, checking your dehydration, checking your urine color every now and then. If possible, whenever you can, try and check your sweat loss, and take care of your hydration through these isotonic drinks. I would want you to ask me more questions because I've kept more time for questions based on the hydration topic. So I'm addressing this one question. We are often confused about the right time to drink water. Is it before having food or during the meal or after the meal? Does this time affect our appetite? See, the amount of food that fluids that you have during the meals actually affects your digestion and not your appetite. I would not encourage you to drink lots of water before or during the meals, and even after the meal. Taking few sips is good, but I think you should always leave your meal times and then concentrate on the rest of the time for drinking your fluids. Too much of water during meal consumption will dilute your digestive juices, and it will give you a lot of discomfort after the meal is over. Uh, Mr. Prasad is asking whether you can take protein shakes. Yes, the protein shakes can be consumed after the training. In fact, they have to be consumed within 20 minutes after your cool down and stretching. But it all depends. Your requirement for a protein shake can also be should be determined by your nutritionist and your coach. After their discussion, then they would be able to tell you whether you have reached the stage where you should start protein supplement. I When I'm talking to children, I always explain them the concept of how to use supplement. So supplement is like when you are appearing for an exam, you don't start writing on the supplement. You finish your main paper that is given, answer sheet that is given to you. If you still want to write and there is no place remaining on your answer sheet, then you take a supplement. So protein supplements should be also taken the same way. You have to make sure that you have completely utilized the dietary resources that your plan tells you that are available for you. Even then, if your protein requirement is not met as per your activity, then you introduce protein supplements, and then they really help you. um, there is one question about salt. Yes. So, Mr. Ram, your question about salt, that many articles which say use of salt, uh, salt will affect your brain. Please share your life. Unlike cooking, unlike cooking unlike cooking where it is boiled. So see that you will require a specific amount of salt. Uh, don't go on a low sodium diet. It definitely affects about your brain activity, but there has to be a balance. You cannot have absolutely salt free foods, and at the same time you should not have too many salted items. Basic salt required for cooking is more than enough to maintain your sodium levels. So there's a question about can a 14-year-old drink protein supplement after workout? The same, I think, the same rule applies for 14-year-olds also. They can definitely have protein supplements provided that their diet is already rich in high protein foods, and then we add supplement if it is still required to enhance the performance of the 14-year-old athlete. I would leave it to her nutritionist to decide what kind of protein and what amount of protein she should be having. Whatever you do, please do it with the advice of a qualified nutritionist. It's very important. So to identify the right amount of consumption is to refer to your urine chart, the urine color chart. So if your urine color is close to transparent or light yellow, you should be relaxed about your fluid intake. It won't put a lot of pressure on your kidneys as well. The pressure on kidneys will increase only when the urine starts getting concentrated. That's where we need to worry about. Prasad sir is also asking about something we get. Sometimes we get stomachache after fluids during training, and how to manage this. So if you are taking fluids in a lot of quantity, if you've stayed without fluids for a long time and then you suddenly add a lot of fluids at one go, then there would be slight minor cramping in your stomach, or you might experience a little bit of pain. So the best tip to that is start sipping your fluids very slowly. Don't take a large amount of water at one go. There is also a question about what we should drink. Uh, if we can drink lemonade during the workouts. If your lemonade has the if you look at the rules of making a drink isotonic, if you're going to make your lemonade in that with that formula, definitely you can drink lemonade during your workout. I'm currently taking all the questions related to hydration. You can consume, see, basically don't take too much of chilled water. I would say you can take cooled water, definitely, yes, you can take. But now, especially if you've come after a intense training, don't head to the refrigerator and reach out for the coldest bottle in the refrigerator. Wait for some time, and avoid ice in your drinks. Is there any alternatives to protein shakes? Very much. Now, most protein shakes are always vegetarian. They are all the protein supplements. I mean, 80% protein supplements would be made from milk, so that you'll have whey or casein in the form of protein shakes for vegetarians. You can also have protein supplements made from soy protein also. There are protein supplements made with rice protein also. There are many supplements available. So there is a question about a 7-year-old child who drinks Bonvita, some kind of drink, and start any protein powder. There is no need to start a protein powder immediately for a 7-year-old. All these commercially available drinks, which actually they basically flavor the milk. There is very little amount of protein in it. It's loaded with sugar. So my advice would be try to get her off all these additives which are loaded with sugar to start with. You can move her to plain cocoa if she cannot have normal milk, and then start working on giving her other milk products in the form of, if you're a vegetarian, in the form of curd, buttermilk, paneer. Add eggs if you're a non-vegetarian, eggs, chicken, meat to some extent, fish if it is very readily available in the areas where you are staying. All these protein items are more important than adding a protein supplement to the diet of a 7-year-old. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Am I audible now?
Yes, very much.
Yes, yes. So that was really a valuable input about hydration. Most of us, go for the nutrition part, but many of us do not. We tend to overlook the hydration part, which is utmost important. So there are so many micro detailings related to hydration part also. That was really a valuable session. I really thanks you once again for this wonderful session.
Pleasure is mine. I loved coming here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I would just request Praveen sir to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Swati madam.
Good evening, sir.
Thanks a lot once again from Province Skiing Academy for such a wonderful session. What Bharti madam already told regarding micro detailings miss हो जाते हैं generally. Skaters सब लोगों का focus protein, carbs, fats, nutrition के इस zone में ज़्यादा है और micro nutrients और इसका value जो है hydration मेरे sports career में भी मैंने experience किया है कि normally पता नहीं चलता with tension, dehydration, pressure, humidity आप लोग घर से बाहर रहते at the time of race and championship तो डिहाइड्रेशन इज अ वेरी कॉमन प्रॉब्लम जो रियलाइज ही नहीं होता सो टू हाइड्रेट करके रखना उसका मैनेजमेंट एंड सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर फॉर स्पोर्ट्समैन इज टू टेक केयर न्यूट्रिशन का जैसे केयर करते हैं वैसे हाइड्रेशन का भी इतना केयर करना है प्रोग्रामिंग और जब ह्यूमिड प्लेसेस होते हैं और आउट ऑफ सिटी जहाँ ह्यूमिड सेगमेंट है धूप में रहते हैं दिन भर इवेंट्स रहते हैं सो 2 लीटर से भी ज्यादा इवेंट्स के टाइम पता नहीं कितना मैडम वो ज्यादा बता पाएंगे कि एज के हिसाब से वेट के हिसाब से जो भी पानी चाहिए वो केयर होती नहीं है और इसी की वजह से काफी टाइम बच्चे रेस हारते हैं पता नहीं चलता कि साल भर की मेहनत कहाँ वेस्ट हो रही है फटीगनेस ज्यादा होता है सर हेडेक्स होते हैं पेट में भी क्रैम्प्स है और ये सब मैंने नॉर्मली एक्सपीरियंस किया है स्टूडेंट्स का सब तो पता नहीं चलता कि हाइड्रेशन लैकिंग रहता था तो डिहाइड्रेशन जो होता है सो आज आपने मैडम इस पे जो फोकस किया है ऑन हाइड्रेशन टॉपिक होप सो हमारे स्केटर्स और बाकी स्पोर्ट्समैन जो है दे विल एक्सट्रैक्ट वैल्यूएबल इनपुट्स और अपने लाइफ में इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे स्पोर्ट्स करियर में स्पोर्ट्स लाइफ में उसको यूटिलाइज करके अपने गोल्स अचीव करने के लिए और सक्सेसफुल होने के लिए उसको ढंग से यूज करेंगे आज की इन्फॉर्मेशन को होप सो उन्होंने कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए और 2-3 क्वेश्चंस है
I think even I want to take them. I would like to answer them. So I think there is one question by one of our users where they want to know the difference between Tetra Pak milk and packet milk. See, Tetra Packing milk is still remains the same. It is the difference in the packaging technology. So you can very well have Tetra Pak milk if it's readily available for you. My own take on Tetra Pak milk is that I find it much safer to drink because going at the amount of adulteration that happens in packaged milk, it's much safer to have Tetra Pak milk because it's very very difficult to adulterate Tetra Packing or copy that technology, and so it's safer to have Tetra Pak milk. And there is one. Is there any more question related to hydration? Many people are asking only about protein intake. I want questions on water intake and hydration.
Yes, today's topic is regarding hydration. Yeah. So shall I take one question? Shall I ask one?
Yes, sir.
From Mr. Raju Sahakari. Varun is 6.5 years old. He gets up at 6:30 a.m. and starts exercise by 7 a.m. How much water fluid he should consume before exercise?
I think Varun is it's small enough. We can just have about 150 ml to 200 ml water to get started, and we can always give him a bottle of water which he keeps sipping.
Okay, that way. Anyway, I think all the questions are over.
I hope I have not missed any.
Yeah, most all important questions. One more, I will check it out if anything.
Yeah.
Kutla. There are questions regarding protein shake and all out of hydration topics are there. So we will try to cover their quick queries later.
I have, like I've mentioned, remember the examination rule. Use your main paper first and then go for the supplement. So make sure that your diet is first, having adequate amount of protein, and then move to your supplement. There is no point in having less dietary protein and then adding a supplement. Then you are unnecessarily putting a lot of pressure on your organs for for having something more synthetic.
Right. One question related to our topic is from Sachin More. Is drinking ORS or Glucon-D advisable?
So Sachin, you need to increase the dilution. ORS is meant for dehydration, the clinical dehydration, where you are expected to be lying down after that. But when you are in an activity, you will be active throughout, right? So you just have to increase the dilution. You have to add more water to the electoral formula or the ORS formula also. So it has to be 4 to 8%. So 8 grams for 100 ml. That formula. Okay.
Okay. One more question is there from Ishan. Is 8-year-old. Drink water and feel vomiting during practice.
Then probably Ishan is drinking a little more water than he can actually take. So we should encourage Ishan to have small sips of water, and he should not immediately gulp that water. What probably he can do is just roll it around his tongue first and then sip that water. That will ensure that he doesn't get that vomiting sensation. And don't push him to drink too much water at one go. Small sips of water, like how I've explained about gulps of water, like 4 to 6 gulps of water every 20 minutes works well.
Again, there is a question for protein powder. Mostly it should be, they should mention their name, age and seminar on nutrition regarding topic again, maybe in future.
Yes, definitely. So there's one question about drinking Glucon-D during workout. During workout, you need to have a hypotonic drink. So you make sure that you're for 100 ml, you are putting 1 teaspoon of Glucon-D.
Okay.
That is good enough for the practice sessions.
Anyway, thanks a lot, madam. Once again.
Thank you, Praveen sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for answering all the questions till last. And thanks a lot, skaters and parents. We'll be having next webinar on 20th at 5:30. You'll be intimated on WhatsApp group and this Facebook page also, Province Webinars. Okay then. Happy Sunday. Take care. Have fun. Enjoy. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.